Where we go?
SweatEquity podcast and streaming show, the #1 comedy business podcast in the world.
You did it.
On Earth.
Yeah.
Listen to us on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, all the places you listen. And if you like this, share it with a friend, loved one, whoever.
Please. Just might as well, right?
Yeah.
We're really mailing it in.
We're
Big time. I'm sorry.
Well, look, we're gonna make this intro short and sweet and get right into it. No sponsors on this one.
Really, not even any sponsors.
Squarespace. You're
Okay,
all
fine.
one,
We're doing sponsors now, I guess.
You're all
We'll
one
sit around for
website
this
builder.
now.
Links to the sponsors will be in the episode description, and that's the way you get the hookup. Holler if you hear me.
Holler.
We got Squarespace, CallRail, Bigly Sales, and LinkedIn Premium. All get the hookup. Links in the episode description. Let's get it going. Howdy dotty.
It's called SweatEquity.
You are listening to the SweatEquity podcast.
I thought we were going into a
Okay,
little-
yeah.
little
Let's go.
Yeah, we so this is more of a peace offering. We had some scheduling snafus this week, and sometimes that happens.
Yeah. Well, I hit a button. My bad. Okay, go. Keep going. We're talking.
Just-
My bad. Don't just ignore me.
I didn't know what was going on. I was just making sure we weren't just talking to nothing.
We're not.
Um,
We're talking to each other at least, right?
yeah,
Am I a nothing?
no, that's like my mom with the hearing aids when I came over, and she's like, "Why would I have my hearing aids in if if no one's here?" And I'm like,
Right.
"Mom, I'm here.
Why the AIDS? You know,
Why aids? Exactly."
everyone's got AIDS.
We want to do a small peace offering since we didn't have an episode this week, and we're going to be a little bit later next week on having one.
Yeah.
And this is me being a dork on an interview, a LinkedIn Live.
I have not heard it, by the way.
It's by the fractional CMO agency I'm with called Grow Powerful, and this was their pilot episode. I said, yes, anything I can do to be a whore for myself, I'll be on it. And so this is a pilot version of what they're trying to do is kind of have these LinkedIn Lives. You can ask CMOs anything. They're still going on if you want to ask in the future. But it's about go-to-market product companies.
Do you have any highlights? Can you just give me the highlights?
I mean, I fucking crushed it.
That's not highlights. That's just you saying that.
I'll tell you one thing. It's really hard to be funny in these kind of scenarios,
Ah.
you know? And I really tried to not be like, you want to make it interesting, but at the same time, you don't want to like,
Yeah, your jokes have to be very broad.
well, you don't want to invalidate yourself, you know?
Right.
And so it's kind of that thing of like, I
Can't
already,
be too funny.
well, I already know what I look like if you're coming into it.
Right. You invalidate yourself.
Right.
With
So
your whole look.
well, yeah, so you have to make sense. So I entered, I got my inner, what am I thinking of?
Tube? I don't know.
I tried to echo smarter people and what would
Okay.
they say and just try to follow
Inner
suit.
echo. I don't know.
I don't know.
What were you trying to think of?
I don't know. We're doing this.
We can't
late.
move on from this. I got to figure it out.
My inner,
Your inner
voice?
I don't know. That doesn't
It
sound
was
right.
either enter with an EN or an IN, but I don't know where I was going. My Interstellar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
It's a good movie.
great movie. The best movie. My favorite movie.
Mm-hmm.
So this will be it's 20 minutes long, which is good. And hopefully it's a peace
Is
offering.
it good 20 minutes?
I mean, if you really want to learn stuff.
You didn't have any moments? I don't, I'm not saying I don't want to watch it or hear it or listen to it or watch it.
I definitely had a
don't.
question about sales versus marketing teams. How do you get them together? And it's like I channeled
Like dance fighting.
My interdini
JK.
at acres is what I did.
Yeah.
That's what.
What'd you say?
Well, sales teams were going to fight with marketing teams. Marketing teams are going to fight with sales teams. That's just how it is. It's always been that way. And you got to stop getting to point fingers. It's not that country, but
Also, is that helpful?
Well, yeah, because
That's just the way it's going to be.
you have to unify them.
I know.
That was the solution. Is basically you got to listen to it.
Okay.
You're not going to listen to it.
I'm not. There's stuff to do.
You get it for free. Why would you go? You get all this for free.
I'm living it.
Yeah. So, without further ado, we'll get right into it.
Okay.
All right. We are live. Welcome to the first of many go-to-market office hours. This is where if you are a CEO, a chief revenue officer, an investor, or even another chief marketing officer like ourselves, we answer the questions that you have about figuring out go-to-market opportunities, solving problems, thinking ahead, thinking behind, how to measure, how to do all the things go-to-market. Now, for this focus, for today's show, our goal is to talk about what you should be doing with your go-to-market motions, strategy, plan, and attack right now, because we're about to head into the second half of the game, folks. We're about to head into the second half of the year. And that means you've only got 6 months left, or probably less, to actually get your stuff done. We got summer vacations, that slows things down. We got the winter breaks, that slows things down. So you probably only have about 4.5 months of actually legitimate work to get things done. I have brought with me today, and we're going to have different people joining us each week or every other week as we do this. But today we have the guinea pigs of Grow. We have the amazing team of what we call ICMOs or interim CMOs here to join us. And we'll just go around the clock here, and we'll start with you, Greg. Greg, why are you here, and what makes you worthy of us to listen to your ideas?
I hope I'm worthy. Yeah, good morning. Thanks, Brett. Thanks, everyone. I love the craft of marketing, longtime B2B tech CMO, mostly software, deep expertise in global marketing, and most recently, account-based marketing and SaaS metrics. Love to focus on that, and excited to hopefully answer all your questions and be part of this great group.
Greg, we're lucky and excited to have you here, just as we are with you, Rusty. Talk to us. Who are you, and why should we listen to your ideas about go-to-market?
Yeah, Rusty Bishop here. Been a touring musician. Guitars behind me. I've been a PhD biochemist. I was a CEO and a founder of a company that had a successful exit, and then I became a CMO of a publicly traded software company. So that's the expertise that I bring to this call today. Is I've been in the CEO job. I've ran marketing at a publicly traded company and been successful with both. And I hope that I can help you answer your questions, because I think that CEOs like me, when I was doing the job, I struggled with marketing. I didn't know what to measure. I didn't know what to do. I didn't even know how to think about it. So I hope we can help you.
Yep. Perfect. Okay. Well, thank you, Rusty. And then last but clearly not least, we've got Law Smith. Law, why are you here, and why should we listen to your insights?
Well, that could be a very existential question, I guess. I'll save that for a different podcast that has more colors in the background, maybe. But yeah, I'm a fractional CMO. I have my own small B2B small business advisory meets agency. It's called Tocoba.ga. I'm the president of that. Moonlighting stand-up comedian for about 15 years. So that's a second career. But the day job pays the bills a lot better. And also the host of SweatEquity podcast, kind of a blend between the two worlds of entrepreneurship and comedy. And I love the puzzle of it. I love helping being part of businesses. You were here when we met, and I got you to here. And there's something very satisfying about that. I think I've improved over 1,000 businesses since like 2012. I was trying to count some stats out. I'm going to throw it back to you, Brett, because you did a great job putting a sense of urgency. That's how we know you're good at marketing. We got the rest of the year coming up. You threw that in there. I saw it. Yeah.
So just for everybody to know, we are all a part of an organization called Grow Powerful. We are all interim and fractional chief marketing officers that are here to help solve problems. Most of it has to do with go-to-market motions. It might be new initiatives. It might be rewiring things, fixing things, whatever else. And when you think about needing to get your stuff together between now and the end of the year, there's never a better time to bring somebody in that knows what they're doing than now. So let's dive in. We've got our first question, and I'll put it up here on the screen. This is kind of fun. We're doing this for the first time and playing around with a lot of features. The first question is, with 6 months left, how should I prioritize my go-to-market spend? Who wants to take that one?
I start. So the first thing I'd say is if you're an emerging brand and your goal is to show potential valuation and growth to investors, I would focus on demand gen at the top of the funnel. But if you have a revenue number you've committed to your board of investors, then clearly it's conversion. The difference would be content and outreach at the top of the funnel is more about awareness and the provocation of why you are relevant now, versus in the middle of the funnel where you need to drive conversion. You would want to have much more content focused on immersive things like a calculator or something that shows you the ROI or evidence or proof or case studies. So there would be two different kinds of approaches, from content to how you reach out and engage people. But it really depends on whether you need to show runway and valuation or whether you've got to hit a number, which require different things.
Okay.
I'll stop there.
Who else has an idea around this 6 month time clock, the sense of urgency?
I'll jump in. It depends on your sales cycle. I'll say that. I mean, if you got a 6 month sales cycle, you spent the money. So if you're a high velocity sales company, then you should be, obviously prioritizing top of the funnel, just like Greg said. If you have a 6 month sales cycle, for me, I like to think of this in terms of compounding assets versus assets that you're paying for in a linear fashion. Compounding assets are things like your email list. Like, so many people neglect their email list, and that is one of your greatest sources that your company has to go out there and talk to potential customers. Doing SEO. I mean, we've got these awesome generative AI tools now that can go and help you figure out exactly who your audience is, how they respond to things, create stuff in literally seconds. So I would be thinking about how to build those compounding assets that take me into the next year, about a 6 month sales cycle.
Got it. Perfect. Okay. Law, anything to add?
Yeah, I would echo what Greg and Rusty were saying to a degree. And I'll go kind of Six Pack Joe style on philosophically, because it's tough. It's tough to answer this question specifically, right? Because we don't know the actual product. But what I have to do is go macro out, pull back out, and let's reverse engineer it. So let's go 3 years from now, and then let's go backwards and see what those benchmarks should be to get you back to 6 months. Because if you plan everything at the 6 months right now, then what's going to happen month 7, right? So just like Rusty was saying, if you have that plan already set up, get ahead of yourself. See what you can do. Scrub the email list, scrub the contacts you have in HubSpot or whatever CRM you've got going.
Okay, so then what we've heard is the law of law is the longer the hair, the longer the planning cycle there should be.
I'm just playing the character,
All right, perfect.
I know people think I look like Nicolas Cage in Con Air. So
Can I throw in one more quick, Greg? Can I throw in one more quick thing?
Sure thing, Greg. And then we got
I am very passionate about this. You should be persistently running account-based marketing if you're in B2B. Persistently, you can achieve about a penny an impression. It's incredibly cost-effective. You should have that always on. You should never stop doing that, because that can, with less effort over time, keep the top of the funnel healthy, so that when you do have to surge in the middle, to surge conversion, you could put more focus there. Always be running account-based marketing for the top of the funnel. It's cost effective and it's only adding value to your brand.
Perfect. I absolutely love that. And I think that's spot on. I don't have anything to add. I'd like to actually head into, we got another question that came in from the crowd. And this is this is a little bit less of a go-to-market, but more of a question about us and our life. And the question is there a difference between ICMOs and fractional CMOs? And I'd love to take a stab at that. I don't mind. So here's the deal. There's interim CMOs, fractional CMOs, and virtual CMOs. Ultimately, and there's a lot of people that call themselves CMOs or fractional CMOs or interim CMOs, and they shouldn't. But there are legitimate people who have truly been chief marketing officers of companies or VP of marketing of companies and have a successful track record. Those people in B2B tech and SaaS grow the company we're part of. We call them ICMOs. Everybody here is an ICMO. Now, The commonality between interim CMO, fractional CMO, virtual CMO is they are CMOs that are proven, but they prefer gigs over jobs. They've decided to have a more freelance, more open, more flexible lifestyle to where they can choose a type of engagements. They can work on 2, 3, or 4 engagements at a time or one. And the industry as a standard calls it the industry is a fractional CMO. Now, I'll tell you another angle of difference, which is an interim CMO tends to be somebody that is close to full time, who may be who may be stepping in for someone else for a period of time. And that mid-sized, larger companies, they lost a chief marketing officer. They need somebody in place so they can spend their time 6 months, a year to look for the perfect person. An interim is also good if there's a new initiative. There's 2 companies that are merging together and there needs to be an adult at the table or something like that. A fractional CMO tends to be more for smaller companies that they work on a part-time basis, 2 days a week, 1 day a week. And it might actually be the first time a company is leveraging a chief marketing officer and they're kind of dipping their toe in it. Other thoughts? Anybody else have some additions on the definitions?
Can I add one other thing? So one of the things I love about being part of this group is the mindset. So whether you're fractional, interim, or full-time, I think marketing today is so measurable, and you should be running things much more in a set of sprints or solving these 5 problems and then moving on to the next. And so whether however your tenure is, however long you're going to do it, I think there's a mindset that is also really embodied in the Grow team, which is, what problem are we solving? Let's go race to solve it, be smart about it, be data-driven, learn as fast as we can, and then put the right things in place, then move on to the next. But I think that is how marketing is efficacious today, is being much more sprint-focused, fast-focused, data-driven, which is, you could say, is born out of the fractional model, but is how good marketing is run today, in my opinion.
Yep, I agree. All right. Well, then let's keep diving deeper. One of the next questions we've got coming up, and again, this is the first time. We want to keep it fast. We want to keep it short. We want to make this 20 minutes or less. We've got about 8 minutes remaining. The next big question that comes up is, this is an interesting one. The question is, during the crunch time, do you usually see sales and marketing working closer together, or is there more of an infighting taking place? I love to get somebody to provide their thoughts, maybe what typically happens and what we all know should happen, and maybe give a little bit of flavor as to how to help avoid infighting if there is.
I mean, yeah, painting with broad strokes, infighting takes place when it's crunch time between the 2 departments. It shouldn't. Your role as a CMO should be to bridge those gaps and have a loop, so and make it and kind of sell it on those departments that you guys need to help each other out. You make more money or career advancement by doing so, but by blaming the other, pointing fingers, it's don't be competitive, be cooperative.
Yep.
I would add, for me, the key is 2 parts. One is, no one makes their numbers unless everyone makes their numbers. So there's no way that marketing has any celebration or gets rewarded or anything like that if the number is missed from the sales side. That is fundamental. Second, focus on opportunity, because opportunity is more than marketing qualified lead or sales accepted lead or whatever you want to call it. Opportunity means we found someone who has intention to buy and might likely buy. That's the better thing to measure. And there's more, by the nature of it, there's more cooperation around opportunity.
Got it.
Yeah, I've seen the same thing. I've been in companies that have had both. The crunch time where marketing and sales are at each other's throats, and I've been in companies where sales and marketing were in lockstep. The thing that separates those 2, in my opinion, is that as CEO or as CRO, you are responsible for owning the message. And I see so many times when there is infighting that the CEO is talking a different message from sales or a different message from marketing. And if you don't own that message as a CEO, I think it trickles all the way down, and that's where you see the infighting.
Got it. Well, perfect. Well, I think we got time for one more question that's come in, and this is boy, I don't know if this is a go-to-market. We can decide if we want to answer this or not. This is more of a sort of managing the expectations of the world. And the question is, there's no doubt in the first half of 2023, if you're in B2B technology, higher percentage of companies are struggling than succeeding and making their numbers. In our minds here, what's the benefit? What's the curse of trying to reset expectations now for what the end of the year would look like versus trying to push hard, invest harder, go more aggressive to try to get the original numbers in? Who would like to take that one?
Can I start very quickly?
Yeah.
This is why I'm so convicted now about benchmarking,
Yes.
because you should answer this question in the context of how are your peers doing? Are they struggling too? Because you might have the right go-to-market, you might be highly efficient, highly sustainable, and you just need to ride this out because it's easy to just cut, and your competitors aren't, you know what, they're going to end up ahead. So I would benchmark, and I would specifically look at the magic number. If you can go to your board or your investors and say, hey, we have a great magic number. We're efficient in sales and marketing. Our peers are at the same spot. You're more likely to win favor and support for staying the course if that's the right thing to do. So benchmark, look at your peers, magic number. Are you sustainable long term?
Yeah.
I
like part of the question there is important is what would happen was in that question, right? What would happen if we did this? And, put yourself in the situation of your board. Like, if you had to go to your board tomorrow and say, we're going to reset our numbers, how they've put money in your company, most likely, how are they going to react to that? So, I think your board's not going to react very well to that. So what Greg is saying is super important. Like, here's why we're doing it. We've got benchmark data. We know this is what the world looks like. We know we've cut marketing budget or we've had to cut salespeople or whatever we've done. Right. So, but that's what would happen. Your board's going to either be behind you or not behind you. So that's what you have to put yourself in their shoes to figure that out.
Yep. All right. Well, we had a couple of good questions coming in. Law, any other thoughts on that last question?
No, it should be philosophically, you should be laying the benchmarks and the goals and your KPIs, your key performance indicators. I don't want to talk in too many acronyms because that's kind of our world. It's starting to sound like finance. But I would say, practice Kaizen. That is the Japanese word for continuous improvement. And so when you're making those goals, you need to write out why you set those goals at the time. So when you get to this period right now, you can look back and, okay, this is why these were our benchmarks, but it's always improving. It's always changing. And here's why. There's externalities like we've been talking about. What's the market like? Sometimes that does seasonality. Sometimes that comes into play. And especially in B2B tech, sometimes you don't have the research to stand on. So you have to reduce the amount of risk as far as making predictions and making forecasting.
Yep. I love that. I think you've all done great, benchmarking, comparisons, managing expectations, et cetera, et cetera. The other thing I will say is go back about 150 years ago and back, think of Chrysler, think of Lee Iacocca. And for those of you that don't know, he was a senior executive at Ford. He became the CEO at Chrysler. Chrysler was about to go bankrupt. He stepped in and he said, we can't think about anything more than 90 days out. We are now going to implement rolling 90-day plans. And I think that's something that's really important, especially for the B2B tech companies that are getting hit the hardest, suffering the hardest, is don't think about 6 months out. Maybe you can rewire expectations to look at the next 90 days and a rolling 90 days every month. You sort of look at the next 90 days and maybe that's a little bit of survival, surviving versus thriving kind of mentality. Mm-hmm. But I think it's also hunkering down and focusing. So just another approach to try, another idea to try.
Yeah. I think that speaks to why ICMOs work, right? I mean, there's in our group, there's 15, 20 rock solid CMOs have been there, done that. You bring a group like this together and you get the power of all 20 of them feeding back to your company. And I think, if you're gonna do 90-day sprints, you may be doing that with one person or 15 people that know how to do it.
Yep, exactly. Well, I think that is it for us for today. We're at about 20 minutes. I wanted to keep this short, wanted to keep it brief. Thank you so much for being a part of our very first ever of many go-to-market office hours. We will continue doing these every 2 weeks until we decide to do it every week. And I just want to say thank you to Greg. Thank you to Rusty. Thank you to Law. And on behalf of these fine people, as well as everyone at Grow Powerful, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And have a great day. Talk soon.
Cheers.